Your design generally follows that philosophy where I think it emanates a certain positivity. And this Domoteca is kind of a higher-end design place.
Right.
IKEA would probably be a little bit more, I guess, accessible price-wise.
Yeah.
Are you as willing to design things that are high-end as low-end? Is that a distinction for you?
I do that now. I mean, I work from everybody from Kenzo and Prada all the way to from Samsung, and then I deal with some very inexpensive companies that produce plastic products in the world, like Umbra and many others. So I cross a lot of boundaries. In fact, a lot of the objects probably in this space here are very, very accessible and very, very inexpensive. I think that the issue that designers face, especially when they get quite known, is that luxury brands tend to knock on their door more than the inexpensive brands. But I think for me, it's very important to push the boundaries in the more, let's say, accessible commodity, because I think I want everybody to enjoy design. So I think the only way we can get everybody to really enjoy design and understand that design is a great thing to have in your life is by making more inexpensive, accessible goods.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. You talked about boundaries. Do you find more boundaries put on you by the lower end, the more accessible producers, or the higher end?
Yeah, more boundaries to put on the lower end, and I think that's obvious because they're trying to reach a much broader audience, which is fine, I think, and understandable. I think that for me, boundaries are part of my creative process, and I find sometimes the more constraints I have, the more creative I can be. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just my upbringing. Maybe it was my industrial design education. But when I started working in the '80s, I was working with companies like Black & Decker and Toshiba, and these were companies that every penny counted in R&D, and you'd be shaving off or making thinner walls of plastic to make goods slightly cheaper. So I had such a rigorous training of that now I'm very comfortable with it. I have no issues with it. In fact, I think if you can be creative with that kind of criteria, then obviously when you have very little criteria, you can really go wild.
Okay.
In fact, sometimes I do the opposite. When a client gives me a kind of very open-ended project, I get kind of nervous actually.
You're lost.
I don't have a place to penetrate really quickly and begin.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for bringing your positivity and your wisdom here.
Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me to Warsaw, to Poland. Bye.